to you.
Good evening, Nigel.
So, is she delivering on the promises made by the government and what people voted for?
I don't think so. I personally think it's a disaster. I don't support this direction of travel at all.
But the country did.
No, they didn't actually.
Really?
Because the way we left was never defined in the vote, and so it included many scenarios that were available. This is just one of them.
Do you not recognise that immigration was the single most important factor in the Brexit vote?
I think you made it a very important factor. I don't think that it was the factor that... I think you exploited people's concerns of people coming here to scrounge, if you like, the people who didn't contribute and took out.
And then Boris Johnson. And then Boris Johnson. Hang on.
Of the 3 million people who were coming into the country as migrant workers, 2.94 million were working and 60,000 weren't. So I think there's a very legitimate concern over people who don't put in and pull out. But there were EU rules in place for those people to be removed from the country.
Phil, don't make me laugh. The idea that Phil, don't make me laugh. Please, honestly, let's grow up with this. It's nonsense. The idea that somebody who'd come here after 3 months hadn't found a regular job, that we were going to put them in handcuffs and send them back through Dover. I mean, it's never ever going to happen. Phil, I also want to make
this. There were other countries that did apply that, though, weren't there, within the EU?
Who?
Didn't the Hungarians do that? Did the Belgians do that?
I've never seen the Belgians physically deporting anybody to another European country. No.
Well, you may not have seen them. Absolutely. That didn't happen.
Well, I tell you what, I worked there for 21 years, I might know. Phil, this government was elected with a big majority, making it absolutely clear that freedom of movement would end. I mean, surely they have to deliver on that.
Well, I think you can say you want to control immigration. What I would like to know is who do you think is going to do the work that has now been deemed unskilled and therefore not worthy of people coming into the country for. You know, it's funny, it's not funny actually, it's very serious for me in agriculture that we may no longer be able to access European labour, because what happens when those guys decide that they want to go home for whatever reason, life changes, they move on.
Well, there is
Who is going to replace those people?
There is a special exemption made within the document released today for seasonal agricultural workers. So the government...
No, I'm not talking about seasonal agricultural workers. I'm talking about permanently employed agricultural workers.
Why don't you employ some English people, Phil?
Seasonally, cows get milked all year round.
Why don't you employ some English people, Phil?
Well, the last time we advertised a role for a dairy herdsperson, we had 5 people that we invited to interview, not local people, not one who turned up, not one. People, I'm afraid, have been...
What are you paying them, Phil?
Led down the garden path in terms of expectations, and a lot of people now do not want to do this kind of work.
What are you paying them, Phil?
We've lost our rural communities, we've lost our rural schools, because the people who've moved into the barn conversions want to privately educate their kids and take them into the city or whatever. We don't have that population. 2/3 of dairy farmers have packed up since I've been a dairy farmer.
Phil, I know that. I know the dairy industry's got massive problems, but that isn't because of lack of labour. What are you advertising these jobs at?
Lack of labour. It's very much driven by lack of labour. We used to bring in Filipino workers under Tier 2 and Tier 4. We can't do that now.
So if we open up the doors, if 10 million people come into Britain, you've got lots of cheap labour, that means you'll make a profit, does it?
Hang on a second. Just tell me what you think a herdsperson earns.
I've asked you that twice already.
Because you're being a little bit all-knowing here, because you're making the assumption...
I'm asking you a question.
You're making the assumption that dairy herdsperson...
What are you paying
No, hang on a second, Nigel. You're making the assumption that a herdsperson doesn't earn very much money.
I'd
just like to ask you what you think...
I've no idea what you're paying. I'm asking you a question.
So it's kind of insulting that you would think that we are trying to exploit people. We're not trying to exploit people.
I'm going to try one more time here.
People just simply are not there.
One more time. I'll try. What are you paying these people?
Okay, so a herdsperson would, working for us, would earn in their pocket in the region of £30,000 a year, and they would get a free house, and they would get free council tax. So a package of about £36,000, £37,000.
And you're telling me at that level you simply can't find English people that want to do that job?
I'm telling you, at that level, we simply can't find people. If you want to talk to labour providers for the dairy industry, I suggest you do that, because...
So, Phil, you've got no problem.
There's a real problem finding people to do this work.
Phil, you can employ hundreds of people if you're paying that money, thousands of people.
No, you cannot, Nigel. That is not true.
The new point system...
No, Nigel, you're making the assumption that people want to do it. People do not want this kind of work.
You can get your Filipinos back if you want to, because if they've got a skill, they speak English, and you're offering them a job, they're already got 70 points, and they may even have more. Let's move on.